to this workshop. We'll just press record now. So if you're okay with that, or turn your camera if you don't want to be on a video. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. We're going to talk about fast format leagues, bat and chat, and back to TT. To start this presentation, I'm just going to explain what's happening in the background here. My name's Chris Newton, and I'm working alongside a guy called Chris Turner. Chris is going to move these slides along. So if I ask Chris to turn the slides along, don't think I'm talking to myself. I've not lost the plot. I'm just talking to somebody else with the same name as me. Also, I might do that, that classic line at the minute. Come on, Chris. Like Boris Johnson does. Come on, Chris. Next slide, please. Which we've been rehearsing all week. So Chris, over to you for the next slide. I'll get that for comedy timing. To start with, I'm just going to play a video from my colleague, Jack. Jack's unfortunately not able to join us today. Jack recorded a video yesterday. It's about 10 minutes. It's about bat and chat and back to TT. So Chris, over to you. We've got a 10-minute video, then we'll move on from that to talk about my stuff in a fast format leagues. Okay, Chris, if you press play, that'd be great.
His new fast format. However, before we get on to that, I just want to briefly go over two of our existing programs, which hopefully you already know a bit about, which are Bat and Chat and Back to Table Tennis. Firstly, what is Bat and Chat? So Bat and Chat is organised table tennis sessions that target those over 50. It involves a combination of free play and competitive games, and it aims to enhance our players' experience, encouraging people back to table tennis and aiming to reduce physical inactivity and social isolation. So Bat and Chat started a few years ago as a result of a membership survey, and it highlighted that the majority of our members wanted more opportunities to play, and in particular at different times of the day. So providing this daytime Bat and Chat session is an alternative option, as well as being a friendly and welcome environment for new and existing players. And this is a common theme of what we've seen from those sessions that are already set up. It's providing current players more opportunities, but also it's giving that opportunity to attract new members. Equally, it's a good opportunity if you're a table tennis club and have your own venue. It's a great opportunity to occupy that time where otherwise it would probably be empty. So how is it delivered? And I think this is a really important factor. How it's delivered often is the reason that people attend, and more importantly, the reason they come back the following week. So it's engaging, but also provides technical coaching, incorporates a break for tea, coffee and socialising. And again, it's warm and friendly environments. We don't advise that you need a level 1, level 2, level 3 coach to be there. I think the emphasis is very much on the soft skills, being welcoming and engaging, and try and be as player or person centred as possible. You quite often find that a couple of people might just want to play, not interested in any form of competitiveness or even any coaching. Whereas also, we do find that secretly 1 or 2 people are after that. And it's important that you're able to cater for that range. So just to give you a bit more background about what sort of people and how successful these Bat and Chat sessions have been so far, approximately we have over an average of 17 people attending each session, with 43% being female. And if you compare that to our overall membership statistics, that is really impressive. 64% attend sessions once a week and 20% attend sessions more than once a week. Like I alluded to earlier, I always think a good judge for a session is whether people keep coming back the following week, or in this case, if they're attending more than once, it means you're doing something well. 59% have become more active than before they attended, and 75% would highly recommend the session to a family member or friend. I will talk about later about how you can advertise the sessions and attract more people. But as I'm sure you know, the best form of marketing is word of mouth, and that is extremely true in this case. So 47 Bat and Chat sessions are funded by BTT, engaging 636 average weekly participants. Now, I'd be ignorant to not talk about the impact that the pandemic has had, and now we're very much at that sort of building back up. But again, I'll speak later about why I believe Bat and Chat and Back to Table Tennis are suitable sessions to encourage people back to table tennis post the pandemic. So how can it benefit your club? So it can boost membership. Quite often, people who just turn up for a social Bat and Chat session have enjoyed it so much they want to play more and end up becoming a member Hartlepool Table Tennis Club. More volunteers, as you all know, volunteers are hard to come by. They're the cornerstone of all sport, and it's another method to try and attract volunteers in. As I mentioned earlier, it's a good opportunity to occupy your venue at a time where it might be previously difficult to do so. And also the impact Bat and Chat has is really impressive. I've been fortunate to meet a lot of participants and get around to different clubs, community sessions, and it's really brilliant to see. We've shared a lot of articles on this before on our website, and we'll continue to do so. And we've also, actually, it's probably something you didn't expect initially, but the coaches and the lead of the session has really benefited. They've really found a sense of purpose as a result of leading these sessions. So a couple of success stories. I think you probably heard about this one already in a women and girls specific session. And those Daily Mail readers will have seen this session advertised last week. It's the Falmouth Docks Female Bat and Chat. On average, they get 15 participants each week. Players range from 27 to 69, so that really shows how it benefits everyone. And again, complete beginners to those who have played in the past. Slightly different, SGS College, coach-led sessions every week, 90 minutes table tennis, 30 minutes coffee. I think that coffee break is not to be underestimated. It's really empowering, these sessions where people get to know each other, and it's really important that the clubs and the league provide the opportunity for people to do that. Sessions are player focused, and the coach asks for feedback on what they'd like to achieve. Again, a player or a participant is not going to keep coming back if they don't enjoy what they're doing. So it's really important to be flexible. That could be one table competitive games, next table will free social play. Help those with long-term impairments, including stroke and Parkinson's. This is something that we've touched on in the past, and something we want to get a bit more concrete, but partnerships with large charitable organisations. So Bat and Chat, I'm biased, but Bat and Chat has always been brilliant. I think it's provided real benefit to clubs and participants. But now, post COVID-19 or in a post-pandemic world, I think it's more suitable than ever. As I keep touching on, it's a social session at the heart of it. I think it's a real good stepping stone into regular and competitive play. There's no real commitment. I know clubs do want that commitment, but as a participant, they can come to one or two sessions and ease their way back in. And again, it's friendly, relaxed, and social. You know what you're getting from these sessions. There's no need for participants or players to worry that they're going to be turning out to a club night, a competitive evening, and it might not be what they want first 2 or 3 sessions back. And then equally, I haven't put that down there, but COVID and the pandemic and 14, 15 months of inactivity might have encouraged people to take up a new hobby or get active again. And people have different ways of doing that. And hopefully, if we can provide a good offer, table tennis can be that. And what's more suitable than a Bat and Chat session? So before I go on to back to table tennis, the next steps, you can register your club on our webpage, on our website, which you can see there. And once you do that, more than likely the email will come through to me, and I will touch base, be a soundboard, listen to what you want, listen to what you want to deliver, and I can send you numerous online resources as well as a handbook on how best to deliver the sessions. So moving swiftly on, again, there are a lot of similarities between back to table tennis and Bat and Chat. However, there are a couple of important differences too. So those members in the know would realise that we tried to launch back to table tennis early 2020. We had numerous clubs signed up, we were all ready to go, and of course, COVID hit. So no back to table tennis sessions have actually officially started yet. But like back to table tennis, we realised that there are a lot of under 40 members that were dropping out the game, and there probably weren't enough under 40 members in general. So we decided to set up a session that targeted those people. So again, it's not as formal or competitive as your normal club competitive evenings. However, it has a slight more element to that than a Bat and Chat table tennis session. So, as I just mentioned, under 40, these people that have dropped out for table tennis generally at late teenage, early 20s, and now looking to get back in. So these are probably more active, more competitive, and probably slightly stronger players because they've got a table tennis background. However, you will also attract new participants as well. And again, it also provides opportunities for those existing members you have as another chance to play and practice. So, who are you likely to target? We've got 25 to 55. Of course, there is a bit of leeway there. You always get a few people that want to come outside that age range. Individuals in the lower division of local leagues looking to prove or learn new skills. Everyone likes table tennis. Once you get the hang of it, you want to play more and more. And there's nothing more frustrating when you've got that bug. You want to play more, but there isn't that opportunity. This looks to combat that. And again, individuals looking for a new activity or challenge. I honestly believe if you have good word of mouth, good marketing, and a good offer, it will attract people. If you get that, it has a continuous cycle of benefits. People come back, they spread the word, you get more members. So again, I think it's really important to understand how these sessions should be run. Once you sign up, we will give you that guide and handbook on how to do this. But of course, like you'll know, all sessions can't just be run straight from a manual. So it's got to be using your initiative where it's possible. Big difference here, we really recommend that it's led by at least a level 1 qualified coach. That is because we're introducing more technical knowledge here, a bit more gameplay, and that gap between these sessions and league is much closer than what a bat and chat session would be. However, it's really important. There's no pressure. There's no sort of ruthlessness, and it's a relaxed and friendly atmosphere. And it's a common theme. I'm sure it's quite a popular fashionable word at the moment, but player-centered. Ask the participants what they want. They're not going to come if they're doing activities they really don't want to be doing. So back to table tennis. How can it benefit your club? Again, more members. This has a knock-on effect, leads to more volunteers, which there's a massive shortage of. And of course, it can generate more income. Get that continuous cycle going. More numbers, more members, more volunteers, more money. Similarly, as before, if you have a table tennis venue that you own yourself, there are going to be downtime periods where it is empty. This provides a good opportunity to fill that time, generate revenue, and opportunity for existing members to practice more. It's really important you look after the members, provide them a good offer in order to keep them coming back. So, like before, like back in chat, we have our own page on our website where you can sign up. You will also receive free resources. You have our advice. We have numerous members of staff that can help you on this. And of course, I'd love to hear any questions you might have. Always willing to offer any advice. But equally, if you do run these sessions or have run these sessions in the past, I'd love to hear how successful your sessions are, any challenges you're having, anything you think other clubs would want to hear back. I'd love pictures, so please feel free to send them all.
Okay, thanks to Jack for his video there in his absence. If you have any questions now you want to ask about those two products, please drop them into the chat feature, and I'll send those over to Jack and make sure he gives you a response to those questions you may have. Okay, we move on to fast format, and we've got till 3:40, so I'll try and be as brief as I can with this and make sure we're back on track for the next series of workshops. But also, as we go through this presentation, please again put some questions in that chat function there. If we get time, we'll try and answer those. If not, I'm happy to have a discussion with you after this conference next week about any questions you have. So fast format, or TT fast format, is something we've been working on during lockdown to try and reinvigorate league table tennis. We've had lots of surveys done recently. We've been listening to lots of people, players, organisers, and so on. And things are starting to change out there, and now is the time for us to respond. So my first question to you is I put some comments on here. I've been around local leagues since I was primary school, I think. I counted the other day 14 leagues, which shocked me when I realised I played in 14 leagues all around the Midlands. And these are some common phrases I've heard when I visited other people's clubs, or these phrases I've heard when I've been working with clubs and leagues. Do they sound familiar to you, within your local league? Obviously, there's only a few people with videos on here, but every time I ask this question, people just kind of nod their heads and say, yeah, we've heard that, or I've said that. And I think these are general problems or day-to-day problems leagues have. Chris, if you could just move a slide on there for me, please. And what I'm going to do for the next few minutes is show you some research and ask you some questions as well as we go along, just to see where you are as well with your local leagues. On the screen there is a profile of local leagues before lockdown one. So this was taken from all the leagues and clubs that input their data into the TT League system. So this is pre-pandemic. And this graph here shows the age profile of people who play local leagues. And I put some bubbles on there because it's all about bubbles these days. But the first bubble here shows within local league, there is a spike of people around 15, 16-year-olds who play local league. And then here, if you can see my cursor there, a big drop off, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, into that university working age type category. Then there's I guess you'd call it a plateau here in a working age category. And then here we are at 40, that vet's age. We've got a peak here and we've got a peak here into 50s, 60s, and then a decline as people come towards the end of their playing life. Does that come as a shock to you? Maybe not if you played as many leagues as I have. You've probably seen that. You've seen the probably average age of a local league if you played in local leagues. And the next slide, Chris, which is quite telling, given the subject of the conference we're having today. This is from that previous graph. This is a male-female split. As you can see there's a massive disparity between male and female participants in local league. Again, I guess if you played local leagues, you run clubs or leagues, you've seen that on a week-to-week basis in league matches. So now is the time for us to act, we think. Chris, if you just move on again. Here's a first question really for you to put on into chat box, if you don't mind. We're interested to know the answer to this from you. Could you tell us just really briefly if you represent a league or you're aware of your local league or leagues you may play in, are they returning this summer? So could you put something like Mansfield, yes, meaning you're from Mansfield and yes, we're returning. And then do you know what format they're playing in that summer league? Are they playing traditional 3v3 10 games? Are they playing two-a-side without doubles? But if you just quickly just type your answers in there, there's no right or wrong here. We're just trying to have a look, generally out of curiosity, who's doing what now. I'll just take 1 minute just to look at some of these coming in. So we've got Liverpool's running a summer league two-a-side, Aywood Heath League, return with open practice session only, Cleveland Summer League, waiting for the decision, Bucks on one league returning to try and finish off last season, 10 games, standard format. And is that Anne Borrowdale, is that Oxford yet? Considering rerun of summer league competition, will be short format. Chelmsford, 2-player teams, no doubles. Presume that's around the COVID restrictions. Harry, no summer league this year. Lastly, 2-man teams played over 7-week divisions. Okay. Okay, thank you for that. Like I say, we're just generally curious to see where people are with this and get a picture of where people are. Okay, Chris, if we can move on, that'd be great. So here's a little bit of reading. Again, we'll stick to this research part for now before I talk more about fast format. This is this was our participation survey that we used during the various lockdowns, and we asked the question, you know, how can you be better supported on your return to play once lockdowns are lifted? So we're coming to that period now when lockdown is lifted, and here's some comments. There's 1,600 responses to this comment, to this question. If you read through these, it may look like I've picked and chosen the right words spot on the screen. I haven't. I was genuinely overwhelmed when I read through most of these responses to this question. There were so many along the theme of these answers, and there were two real themes. People were hesitant to return or worried about playing in small league venues with poor ventilation, so they're worried about health reasons. And people are saying, maybe, you know, it's time for a change. We've played the same format for a long time. You know, nothing's changing in my local league. It's my way of life is not great because, my social time is not great because how the league affects it. So I haven't skewed this whatsoever. They are genuine comments, and there were lots of comments like this. Like I said, I've worked within local leagues for a good number of years now, and this is the first time I've ever seen an overwhelming amount of comments like this. You know, if I just click onto the next slide as well, there, Chris, we've been working with a guy called Rod Johnson, who's a marketing guy. He's actually doing another workshop right now. I showed these comments to Rob, and he picked these three out as the kind of key from the marketing side, and him saying, listen, this is what needs to happen with the local leagues. And he specifically picked up on this quote here about how local leagues affects working age group. And if you think back to that graph I showed you previously, there's a plateau in working age group. So he's saying, look, we recognise through these surveys, it's affecting people's work-life balance. And there's obviously a plateau of people in that age group. So if things change, maybe more people in that working age group will play. I'll give you, for instance, now, I've got two kids, an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. There's no way I want to play local league right now because of the amount of time I'm away from home. I miss putting my kids to bed. I'm not supporting the family. You know, I'm out from 6:30 to 11. It's just too much for me right now. And Rob picks up on this there, you know, with this quote. Okay, Chris, next slide. Just two more bits of research here. Publicly with anybody yet, but this is a survey we've just done or had done for us, which is related to drop-off in females between 18 to 30. Again, if you think back to that graph, there's a huge drop-off at post-16. And just some interesting things, you know, sort of food for thought here. Highlighted here at the bottom of the screen, if you look at those motivations for female players, why they play, look at the words: enjoyment, friendship, teammates. They're the reasons they want to be involved. So if you know you're organising a league, you recognise there's not so many females or girls playing your league. Just think about these words when you're doing any kind of planning. How can you bring those words into that planning? But then look at the lower responses here. It's not about being a champion. For the majority of the people who took part in these surveys, you know, the desire to play for England is the lowest one of all there. What motivates females to play table tennis? So, you know, maybe forcing somebody, you know, through a playing pathway into a high level competition straight away is not the right thing. Maybe buddying people up into teams to make friendship groups is a better way of doing it. And again, I find this one really interesting, that of all those people who responded to this survey, 21% of people played and just played, and the rest of these chunks here are saying, actually, ladies and girls want to be involved away from playing. They want to take part in volunteering. They want to be on a committee. They want to maybe do coaching. They want to maybe officiate. It's not just about playing. It's about a wider experience. Again, you know, food for thought. And these are some of the reasons we're trying to develop this product. Because if we just move on again, the last piece of research I'm going to show you, again from our participation survey, and I've just highlighted this, is not very well highlighted with this bubble here, but this is about parents saying 61% of parents are put off local league due to late nights. They're not going to take their kids to play local league. And to be fair, I don't think I'd take my kids to play local league if, you know, the league match finishes at 11 o'clock at night. I've had the interesting experience of taking my kids to other sports now, and it's very interesting how other sports, you know, deal with that. And you know, I take my kids to a gymnastics session or even a competition, and it's done in an hour. You know, it's a predetermined hour. It's 5 till 6 or 6 till 7. We know where we are in the schedule of our weekly life. Again, just a little bit of food for thought. Again, Chris, if we just move on again. Question number 2. Again, on the theme of the conference here today. Again, if you could put your answers in the chat really quickly, because time's pressing. Do you have any juniors or ladies involved in your committee? Think back to that last slide that said people, you know, maybe ladies are more interested in just the playing side. You know, could you say if there's one, just say one maybe. If there's 5, say 5. Do you have ladies or juniors involved in your committee? This is like grandstand. Chelmsford 0. Well, not so many answers flying up there straight away like the last question. No junior. Okay. So we've got Chelmsford 0. Sounds like Gary, you've got some ladies involved. Graham Turner, is that Liverpool, Graham, I think? No juniors, 1 lady welfare officer. I think that came out in one of the presentations this morning as well. That it's often the welfare officer's a lady. Sue Hayes, 1 lady, no juniors. Brett, no ladies, but a junior representative. Anne in Oxford 3 or 6 females. Cleveland 4, Middlesbrough 1. That's a good football score. Liverpool 1 lady only. Let me tell you an interesting story about when I used to run a club. I ran my club in typical coach-led fashion, that I wanted to turn everybody who played in my club into a champion. And I wanted everybody to, you know, instantly get that junior team, and we win junior British League team. And we started to lose juniors at one stage, maybe because I was a bad coach, I'm not sure, but we started to lose juniors, and we started to question why. And somebody had the idea of putting juniors on our committee. And I put 2 juniors on my club committee then, and things started to change because they altered the way I was thinking. They altered the way my committee was thinking. They brought new ideas and fresh ideas. They brought fun back into the club. They steered me away from trying to turn everybody into a champion. They made me do social events, which revolutionized things, which made the club a lot happier, a lot friendlier. They brought lots of fresh ideas to that group. And that's the main driver really for me for that question. You know, if we as a sport recognise that we have a drop off of juniors, we have a drop off of ladies, let's involve those in that process. Let's involve those group of people in the process to see if they can help drive the change for us. Okay, if we move on again. Okay, we'll come on to fast format. We've got what have we got there? We've got 30 minutes left. So we're nicely back on track, having rushed through that research, and maybe we can open a little bit of a debate up here again later and let some of you guys talk rather than me. But here we go with a fast format and our new products and our new ideas. And right now we're at a stage where we're going to start doing 2 things. One, we're going to start piloting this project with some leagues, and one, we're going to start messaging out more and more about TT fast format. We're going to, over time, develop 2 products. I'm going to talk about the local league product today. So it's TT Fast Format Local League. This aims to alter people's thinking about local league, to make it more friendly to 21st century, to make it more friendly to juniors, to make it more welcoming to ladies, to bring new participants into this sport, to start driving with local league. You, as well as I, recognise local leagues have not altered for a good while. an interesting one of the participants on here. We had a chat on the phone this week, and she explained to me why she dropped out of local league. So this product, you know, would have been ideal, I think, for her. So that's the first part, is the local league. Later this year, we're going to start working on the fast format community and university side. This is going to be very similar to the local league product I explained, but it's going to be driven through community groups. So we're going to go to, for instance, a U3A group and try and get those to run a short format league, potentially just in one venue. At the same time, they would play their normal practice session. So they're in a familiar building at the same time, in the same routine. So it's not altering their lifestyle at all. It's not altering their routine of life. And it's at the right time of day in a place they're comfortable with. And similar with universities, you know, we're going to go out to universities, and maybe on a Wednesday afternoon on that sport afternoon, we're going to say, you know, rather than potentially go out to local leagues and join local leagues, why don't you start your own league on university campus? And we're going to come up with a product for those sort of community groups. And here's the sort of almost the final draft of our logos here. Chris, if you just move on. I'm just going to play you the video again. If you just bear with me a sec, Chris. I'm just going to play the video again that you saw before you came into this workshop. Give you a second chance to look at this. If you look really closely at it, look at the participants in this video. These are the type of people we are saying we need to attract into local league table tennis. And these are the type of people we want to attract into TT Fast format. Okay, Chris.
Invigorate your league.
So TT Fast format is a new, exciting league that's going to be short format. It can be 2-a-side, 3-a-side, and it's going to be something so exciting for people to come along and try something new.
Invigorate your league.
The one thing that we really need to do is get youngsters involved at an early age. As a fast format league, the youngsters can play their matches, finish the matches, and get home at a reasonable time.
Invigorate your league. It's a way of playing modern table tennis. It's a quick turnaround, less matches, but just as important in relation to the score, and more opportunity after the match to socialise.
I really enjoy the sport. It's great for exercise, for my social life, meeting people, and I even got my daughter playing as well. I think they love it. I think they'll easily get into it because some games can go on for ages. So it's a good idea, brilliant.
You get that real competitive edge because it's a shorter format. The games have become more important and more valuable. We play harder, we play more instinctive, and of course we get much more satisfaction when we win because it's a harder environment.
I think for me, as a female, as a mum, you know, it gives me time to be able to do what I need to do after work. I'm not worried about coming out late at night after a match and it's dark. You know, these are the things I've had to encounter in the past. So this is an ideal opportunity to try something new and different.
TT Fast format. Invigorate your league.
Okay, thanks, Chris. First, Chris, just press pause there for a second, will you, please? Thank you. Before I move on then into detail, I just want to make one quite serious point here that what I'm going to talk about now for local leagues is not mandatory. We are not saying to local leagues, you must do this. This is a product that if it suits your league, if it suits your needs, if you think it will alter your league, make it a better experience, bring in more people, please use it. This is not absolutely governing body saying you must do this change. This is us wanting to work with you to make change, to bring more people in. Please just bear that in mind from now on. And right, we'll get into nitty gritty of this. Chris, if you could just move us on, please. So the first part of fast format table tennis for local leagues is we would like games to be played under 2 hours. Think back to one of those comments in that video there. It said games are not played in a reasonable amount of time, or we would like to play in a reasonable amount of time. So we're saying let's play local league games in under 2 hours. And we're going to recommend these two formats: 2-a-side, standard 2-a-side. It's not revolutionary whatsoever. It's 2 players playing 2 players, they cross over, and if you're allowed, you play doubles. So you play 5 games. 2 hours is a lot of time to play a 2-a-side match in local league. Or 3-a-side with a crossover various players. If you follow various colours there, you'll see which player plays which. So A, for instance, plays X and Y in the other team, or C would play Y and X, B would play X and Z. So there's a crossover of 6 games, played under 2 hours. This has all kinds of implications about the problems you sort of beginning. Think about how many times people have said, I can't find a venue. What's the problem there? The problem is you're trying to book a venue from 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock at night. I remember once I came round with a club in Stoke-on-Trent, where I am today. We visited 14 community centres in the city. All would happily host a local league club to play their league games. And all of them ultimately said no, because they wanted the venue booked out to 11 o'clock at night. The caretaker and the committees of those halls were not interested in having their buildings open at that time of night for a whole variety of reasons. I've heard countless times about venue times saying, we're playing in school, but we've got to be out by 9 o'clock because the caretaker won't be working past 9 o'clock or won't be working past 10 o'clock. These are the reasons, this is just another reason we're trying to say, let's alter that format. Let's bring it down a little bit. Let's bring that time, make it a reasonable amount of time. Let's make it a quicker turnover of time. But also, I hear this, and it was important to me as well. Again, in that video, somebody said there's more time to socialise after a game. How many times did I play a game and I tried to rush my games through so we could go for a pint after a game? How many times did we not manage it? Quite a few. How many times did I play past 11 o'clock? Quite a few. No time for socialising. I've come straight in from work. I've gone straight to a league game, played a league game, gone home. No time for anything else that night. It's just a long, long evening. I don't play at the minute, but I question, would I play my local league right now? I'm not sure. Maybe I've moved on from that. But we're going to say, can we play these games under 2 hours? But also, there's a twist on this. Let's use a COVID thing. The variants on this. It's not just be as simple as 2-a-side or 3-a-side. There are lots of variants you could play. You could play the standard game, best of 5, or you could play all 5 games. You could play all 7 games. If you wanted, that'd be a hell of a long time to play, but 7 games out. There's a session happening I think it's Chelmsford at the minute, where their league, for their summer league, are going to play 3 home players plays 2 away players. So it's still 6 games. You've still got 3 home players, so they're still covering the cost of their venue with the same number of people for the home team, but the 2 away players come. So the 2 away players get 3 games, the home players get 2 games. So a very interesting compromise on that. There is a few leagues doing this around the country right now. It's not under the heading TT Fast Format. They figure this out for themselves. They've realised things need to change locally, and they've made that happen. Plymouth, for instance, Jewel of Plymouth Table Tennis Club have set their own league up. I'm not going to say to rival their local league, but it runs alongside the league. They play 2-a-side league, and they play all 7. They play all 7 games. So if you're on a table, you play 7 games. So your number of games are reduced by playing 2-a-side, but your amount of time on the table is very similar because you're playing 7 games per match. So I'm not sure I'd want to play all 7 games, especially in this weather. That'd be a long old sweaty evening. But they play 7 games as a variant to make it more value for money for people playing there. So there we go. That's a suggested playing format. Chris, if you just move on there. I'll just let you just take this in a minute, but this is what's been happening in Leamington Spa in Warwickshire for a while. I think this has maybe been maybe happened for 10 years or more now, but Leamington, were traditional as traditional could be a while ago. They played standard 3-a-side, 10 games. Quarters, it is absolutely atypical a local league. But they recognised there was a lot of coaching happening in Leamington Spa at the time, but those players weren't moving from playing in coaching clubs into league. So they recognised it as a problem, and they set up a 2-a-side league that ran in parallel to their 3-a-side. So here's the next kind of variant, and I think this is the most interesting one, is running a parallel 2-a-side. So the 3-a-side happens, and a 2-a-side happens. It happens in the same kind of home and away format. It's just the number of players are different. And to quote the organizer in Leamington, people vote with their feet in Leamington. If you like traditional 3v3, 10 games, play that. If you like 2-a-side, 5 games, play that. Vote with your feet. And over 10 years, people have voted with their feet in Leamington. And it's gone from one division to, I think he said last time I spoke to him that although the divisions are saying there are more players or more teams in the 2-a-side now than the 3-a-side. So the 2-a-sides become more popular over time in Leamington. So it happens. There's 2, for instances, there in Plymouth and Leamington where it does happen. And we're trying to replicate this under the heading TT Fast format. Okay, so Chris, next slide, please. What we think also is important, having spent a good amount of time now talking and consulting with leagues and MAG and National Council and players, we've heard lots of stories and some really good examples, but some horror stories as well of local leagues. So through this product, through TT Fast format, we're going to suggest a few venue standards. This is not a final list. This is not exhaustive. We will be working on this and building this as we go along. But I've heard stories. There's a story in London, I think it was, who have a start time in their league rules, a league game at 7:15. Very rarely, according to the gentleman in London, did any league games start before 8 p.m. Obviously, the later you start, the later you finish. You imagine trying to sell that league to new players, saying we start 7:15, but actually, we might start at 8:30 if we can be bothered. It's not right. It's not a great image, So we're recommending a guaranteed start time. Imagine a football game, a 10 o'clock kickoff starting at 11 o'clock. It don't make sense. That I know there are people with travel problems and so on, but we're going to suggest a guaranteed start time. That start time is not, it's not us saying it must be 7:15 or 7:10. It's what fits locally, but a guaranteed start time. Also, we may or may not be pushing this through the product, but a predetermined warm-up period. And this may not be possible in some places because of the venue restrictions and the timings in your club. But if you think to some of the league games you play, who determines how long a game, both before the first match of the night starts, or even between turn man of players in the game? It just kind of happens in most places. So if you come to something like British League, there's a guaranteed predetermined warm-up period before that game starts. So, home team knows they've got X amount of minutes, away team knows they've got X amount of minutes, and then you bang straight into a guaranteed start time. You've got an organised or a more organised session there. People know where they are, people know what arrangements they make, parents know what time, their kids are starting, what time they're likely to finish. It's just a little bit more organised. Also, again, some horror stories, and I've seen some of these as well myself, about turning up to some venues with no toilets, or if there are ladies playing in local league games, they're expected to maybe use that male or single toilet, which is not necessarily always as clean as it could be. So we're suggesting, the facilities around the game are important as well. I don't know if you heard Dan Bolland speak this morning saying about the facilities he's been to. Facilities are important. I wouldn't want to take my daughters to some of the places I played league table tennis in. I'd be fearful of going into some of those venues. So, better, smarter, more organised venues. Again, come back to heating and ventilation. I've been to wooden sheds with Cala gas heaters in, and I didn't worry about it when I was 18, but now I think what a fire risk that is. A standalone gas canister with a naked flame on it next to a wooden wall. Is that the right venue to be playing in? Leave that for you to decide. But we're gonna come up with a series of venue standards. This is our start for 10. We're going to build on this as well. But under this fast format product, we expect a certain standard of delivery within the league. And just out of curiosity, to the summer, so we're going to build on this. Not just me sitting here just coming up with a list. We're going to trial this and talk to people and figure out what's right and what's wrong. But a whole series of venue standards. Chris, there's just one more actually on there. If you click it again, I think Juliet mentioned this on one of her presentations as well this morning about outside lighting. And sorry, that was on the film. Juliet saying, you know, she's been out of venues that are dark at night. I actually know the venue she was talking about in Birmingham, and it could be quite terrifying, not necessarily just for a lady, but it could be quite terrifying walking out of that club it's a dark alleyway next to a train track, next to a chip shop. It's dark, it's not great. It needs some kind of safety light in there to make it, you know, more friendly. Imagine taking your kids down a dark alleyway next to a train track on a cold, you know, December evening. Not sure. Okay, Chris, if we move on, as we literally kind of running out of time. Just quickly kind of finish off my part. This is what's coming next from us. Monday, you're going to see TT Fast Format appear on our website. You're going to start to see resources appear on that website. You're going to see the video you've just seen appear. You're going to see promotional materials. We are going to put our branding all across leagues that are interested in working with TT Fast Format. We're going to, you know, give out pop-up banners, put that, you know, corporate branding onto your events to make them look like they're a special event as well. All this as well is also powered by a TT League system. You know, in terms of how you organise your league, it's still run by TT Leagues. If you use TT Leagues, the offer, you know, as always, is there to use TT Leagues. We are going to produce some videos over the summer showing how potentially you could use a fast format in Division 1 of your league. So you play maybe 2-a-side in Division 1, but then you play Division 2 as 3-a-side, and how. If that suits your league, we'll produce that video that shows you how those tweaks onto TT Leagues as well, so it makes your, you know, an easier job for your organizer. And also very soon we're going to drop these case studies I've just talked about in Plymouth and maybe Leamington onto the website as well, so we start producing this. And then one final question from me, if we just move on, Chris, if you just again drop your answers in. I'm curious, as always. I've been consulting with people for a few months now. And I've probably heard most of these answers before, but don't put names on this by all means. But what are the common weekly problems you have in your league? What's the bugbear that stops it moving forward? And then, if you have a suggestion, what's that suggestion that moves it forward? Just for instance, my the local club to me here is played above a working men's club, above up a rickety set of stairs, with a grotty toilet at the top of the stairs as well. It's not that welcoming. We use that word. We use that word again this morning. Welcoming. That wasn't a welcome environment for new players. It's not somewhere I'd want to take my kids again. That Gary up there in the northeast, starting and finishing times, people won't change. Late starts, compulsory start would help. It's a common discussion, this starting time. Lack of organised to arrange these activities. Lack of juniors due to late finishes. How the lack is what we're working on in the background as well. There is an app to try and make all this a little bit easier. So we're taking the work off some of the people. So it's a long way from finished, but an app you can sit there and put your scores in while it's playing. So there's no need to be sending scores to a divisional secretary who then has to put them onto somewhere else, and that loads up somewhere else and so on. We're going to try and make that as live as possible to cut down the work involved. Sharing facilities with Zumba dancers, that's a new one. Length of evening with travel, long warm-ups, long matches, late nights. Okay, our experience with short formats are very positive, especially at central venues. Brett, the lack of juniors participation like local league due to late finish. Loving the idea of task using it. Yep. Brett, do you, Brett, I might be wrong about this, but do you down there in Haywood Heath have like a central venue for your Premier Division and then something different for your other divisions, or is it? Do you play on? Oh, sorry, no. Is it you play on league and a half tables, so you share a table to make it faster with somebody? Just try and explain that in the text while I move on, because we've got just a handful of minutes next. Okay, Chris, just the last slide from me. Just tell you where we are now. Like I say, we're working with pilot projects now around the country. We've had all kinds of conversations with people now, and we're going to work with specific projects during next table tennis season. So those leagues that become really interested in this, we're going to come and invest time and resource into those leagues to make them work and learn the lessons that are involved. But this summer we're going to try and pilot this this format with a couple of leagues. And interestingly, I'm not going to put the names on these leagues because some people are quite precious about that. But there's a league in the southeast that we're about to work on a pilot where they run a parallel league again. So there's a 3-sided happening. There's a league. It's not a million bucks. It's really difficult to say, but it's a league, a table tennis league, which is 10 miles from where I am here. They dropped out as a league a couple of years ago. We're going to try and bring that league back with a fast format. And again, there's another league we're going to in the Midlands up here where we're going to try and run another parallel league. So we're going to try these examples that I've talked about. We're going to try and make it happen. I appreciate as well, this is not going to happen overnight. The 240 odd leagues we have in the country are not going to convert to this, tomorrow. This is part of a longer ongoing investment in the sport where we try and change the local league and make the experience for members better. Okay, that's my slides done. We've got 6 minutes left before I have to close this down. Chris, shall we end that presentation? We'll put people on the screen there. Is anybody like to make anybody got any thoughts on this fast format? Kind of put your hand up there and come off mute and say anything, or okay, so yeah.
I put it in chat, but now 20 years ago I was advocating this as a woman. I really don't like the current format. I never have. I play it because I like playing competitive table tennis and I've got no alternative. But unfortunately, I've always been met with opposition from those that put time and money, put their own time into organising, and they like the current format. I can't run the league by myself. I haven't got the time or energy now to put into doing that myself. So I rely on the volunteers that are prepared to organise, and unfortunately, they don't have the same idea. They want 3-player teams because they say it's more sociable. They say they're not prepared to travel long distances to just play 2 games. And we had the discussion at the Bucks AGM last night, and the same arguments I've been hearing for the last 20 years, that the people that organise, predominantly men, like the current format and don't want it to change.
Yep. Well aware of those comments, and we've had those comments 1,000 times, from people. But hopefully, we're going to start picking our messaging up about this, see what we can do about that now. This is the first kind of real public outing of TT fast formats. So hopefully, we'll ramp that up. Okay, Anne, I think we've only literally got time for one. I can see Anne waving a hand at me. And it's all yours. We've got about 3 minutes.
Yeah, just to say, we've experimented in Oxford with a parallel league with sort of 2-a-side and 3-a-side pre-pandemic, which worked well, and we're considering running a similar sort of thing when we reopen. One of the main issues we were identifying was if you don't have doubles, then it's almost too short an evening. And actually, thank you. One of the things I've got out of this workshop is thinking about just playing more games or finding ways that you can make up for the fact that you might only be playing 2 singles. But yeah, it worked very well, I think, and some of the fears about having the parallel league, actually more people played and people came back and played who didn't expect, and it built up the 3-a-side as well. So yeah, it's exciting to see what's being planned, and hopefully that can persuade us to do that again once we can restart.
Yeah, okay, Magic, thank you. So just come back to that point. We've done a little bit of research with a couple of leagues, very traditional leagues. We're finding a kind of bit of a trend as well about if we ask players what they want as a whole, rather than it be a committee decision. We're finding about 50% say we want to stay where we are. 24-25% are saying, yeah, we'll go for the shorter evening, and the other 24% undecided. So I don't know if that's something. Maybe I'll make that offer. Maybe I come into your league, see if we can do that kind of survey work. See if we can actually get people's opinion in a whole in the league. See if that might make that change for you. I'm happy to sort of push that forward with you, your league. If that maybe helps.
Well, mine's a county. I play in a couple of leagues, but I'm not involved in league organisation currently.
If you drop me the league you play in on an email, I'll look into that, see where I can take that for you. And just one more question while we've got a minute. I noticed Juliet Bertie's on this call, so I didn't know. We had an interesting conversation a couple of weeks ago in Birmingham. I said Juliet's got an all-female team in Birmingham. Birmingham's Solihull Table Tennis League, and I said to Juliet, "Have you ever played another all-female team in a local league?" So, does anybody quickly know have you ever come across an all-female league team anywhere else before? This is just purely out of curiosity. There's no, yeah, okay. So they do exist. Sorry, Juliet, I was wrong with that one. Thank you for that. So that's me done. I've got 1 minute left, so I'm back on time. So I'm in the good books with the conference. Please, if you want to talk about this further, please do get in touch with me. Paul, I guess up in Liverpool, we've got some work to do in Liverpool that I promised a while ago. Again, if any of you do want to have that conversation, you want me to get involved, work in your leagues and have discussions with your league and do this similar kind of presentation with leagues, please do come and scream at me. I'm more than happy to get involved and help out where I can. And that's us done. It's now time. So thank you once again for joining us.